the generation-defining director who brought a visceral realism to the 1970s hits The French Connection and The Exorcist, and was quickly anointed one of Hollywood's top directors when he was just in his 30s, has died at the age of 87 after a long illness. Friedkin had won the Best Director Oscar for The French Connection. Film critics say Friedkin was the director who created multiple visceral and unforgettable experiences for moviegoers. Another film of his that stood out was his neo-noir corrupt cop drama To Live and Die in LA. Friedkin gave his audience a number of classics in the early 90s, but his queasy and inspired masterpiece was undoubtedly The Exorcist from 1973, adapted by William Peter Blatty from his original novel. This was the quintessential horror pleasure of that period, the era of people lining up around the block to get into the cinema to see something that they hoped and feared would scare them half to death, a roller coaster ride out into the void. Critics say Friedkin made horror thrillingly contemporary and respectable. William Friedkin cemented his legacy early with The French Connection, which was based on a true story and deals with the efforts of maverick New York City police detective James Popeye Doyle to track down Frenchman Fernando Rey, mastermind of a large drug pipeline funneling heroin into the US. It contains one of the most thrilling chase scenes ever filmed. The movie, which was made for just $2 million, became a box office hit when it was released in 1971 and also won Academy Awards for Best Picture, Screenplay and Film Editing, and led critics to hail Friedkin, who was just 32, as a leading member of a new generation of filmmakers. He followed with an even bigger blockbuster, The Exorcist, released in 1973, based on William Peter Blatty's best-selling novel about a 12-year-old girl possessed by the devil. The harrowing scenes of the girl's possession and a splendid cast helped make the film a box office sensation. It was so scary for its era that many viewers fled the theatres before it was over, and some reported being unable to sleep for days afterwards. The Exorcist received 10 Oscar nominations, including one for Friedkin as director and 2 for Blatty's script and sound as well. With that second success, Friedkin would go on to direct movies and TV shows well into the 21st century. He told interviewer Tom Huddleston in 2012, and I quote, "My films have always been a study of human behavior at its extremes. They're not aimed at young people, they're aimed at adults. Is there a line I wouldn't cross? I don't know." Other noteworthy Friedkin films included the 1985 crime thriller To Live and Die in LA, the 2006 mental disintegration thriller Bug, and the twisted 2011 black comedy Killer Joe. Friedkin remained an active director even in his later years, continuing to helm projects right into his 80s. His last cinematic endeavor, titled The Caine Mutiny Court Martial, is scheduled for its debut at the upcoming Venice Film Festival this year.
When I think of the chase scene from French Connection, the one thing that always, and this scares me when I drive, the one thing that scares me the most of all is when the baby carriage comes out and he hits it and everything explodes, and it scared the hell. That was because I drive and I'm afraid that something like that's going to happen to me, and it was all going so fast. It was just a great movie. It was a great chase scene specifically. Yeah, it was wonderful. But he was a brilliant director.
Like it was one of the first horror movies that I saw when I was young, and it sort of hit my imagination like really deeply, and it was like super scary, and yeah, it's a big loss today.
Well, movie lovers around the globe will certainly remember the immense contribution of William Friedkin to the world of cinema.